Southampton, where I'm sat right now.
Minister, just while I have you, you may have seen our reporting earlier this week on the care system, which again falls under your remit, and the care cliff facing children when they turn 18, the support system simply taken away from them. They're on their own, kicked out is how some care leavers have described it to me. We brought people the story of Nonita, who just days after her 18th birthday took her own life. She repeatedly told her corporate parent, the local authority, that she was going to do it and how she was going to do it. It's in her records, yet she died. Her story, not new, not unusual. 91 care leavers died, those aged between 16 and 25, just last year. That's 2 young people a week. Will you be the government to come up with a plan to address the care cliff?
Yes, we will. This is an issue that matters a lot to me. I saw the documentary that you and your brilliant colleagues did on Nonita, and I think you've shone a spotlight on this that's much needed. I read the details of every single one of those care leaver deaths, and they're harrowing because these are young people who've been left often isolated and alone from 16 upwards, living in semi-independent accommodation that often isn't appropriate. And one of the big reasons they're vulnerable and often end up tragically taking their own lives is because we've not built a care system that puts lifelong loving relationships around these young people. So there's 2 big things that are a priority for me. One is the introduction of more support for care leavers with accommodation options and wraparound support for them. And secondly, and this I think would have been would have made a big difference in the documentary that you had earlier this week for Nonita, is expanding the number of foster carers we have in this country. I think, from my memory of reading about her story, she wanted to live in a foster home. She wanted a family home environment. We don't have enough foster carers, and we urgently need to do something about that. I'll be setting out plans very soon for how we're going to dramatically expand the number of foster homes in England.
Well, we look forward to seeing those. I was privileged enough to meet care leavers on Tuesday night as part of our special programme, sparked by Nonita's story. And I met a number of campaigners who you will know well from before you got into government. They're proposing amendments to the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill that you mentioned a little earlier. It's currently going through Parliament, as you said. Those campaigners have got direct experience of this failing care system, and they say that the amendments they want made will better protect children and ultimately save young lives. I'm just going to explain to those watching what they are briefly. One is for care to be recognised as a special characteristic alongside race, religion, gender, disability, affording them essentially all the other protections offered to those groups. The other is about corporate parents or local councils that have these children in their care. They want to change the wording of part of the bill from those corporate parents being alert to issues with children in care to them having due regard to their issues. Essentially, the difference being if you're alert to something, you can see it, but you don't have to do anything about it. But if you have due regard for something, it means you'll actually have to do something about it by law when there are problems. Do you support these campaigners and these amendments?
So I know these campaigners personally. They're wonderful people who have done a huge amount in their time to improve the care system for tens of thousands of others and other young people to come in the future. I'm already in contact with those campaigners about their asks, and I'm keen to explore them with them. The government's priority with the bill has been making sure that we get cross-government agreement so we can effectively roll out a big expansion of corporate parenting. Now that doesn't sound maybe that exciting, but it will make a big difference because, for example, it will mean the NHS, all NHS bodies across the country will have to start behaving like a corporate parent for care experienced young people. That is going to make a huge difference. The government introduced that measure in a bill after only a few months of being in power, and I really want to make sure that we get those changes implemented well. But I, of course, will always speak to those campaigners and I'll explore those amendments that they're proposing as well.
OK, so you don't support those specific amendments anymore, because you're a bit more clear-cut on the issue before coming into government. In May 2022, you published a major review into children's care. It said, and I quote, "The disadvantage faced by our care experience community should be the civil rights issue of our time." It said that to change this, the UK should be the first country in the world to recognise the care experience as a legally protected characteristic in equalities legislation. You're not being as clear about that today. Why not? Have you changed your mind on this?
So I am just as clear about the nature of the problem. This is the biggest social justice issue, I think, facing the country.
So can you help them get it into law?
Working on.
Can you help them make it into legislation?
Well, yes, I am. We're trying to do that with the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill. And as I say, the first step on that track really is about expanding corporate parenting. That will make a massive difference. Corporate parenting just for local authorities has been around for a number of years, but it's been limited just to local authorities. The power of expanding protected characteristics to include the care experience. Obviously, when I wrote the review, that was something I was advocating for. I'm now part of the government, and my job is to work with colleagues on areas where we can get collective agreement and make sure we get the biggest changes possible for young people as soon as possible. That's why my attention and the department's attention is on expanding corporate parenting.
Josh MacAlister, the Children's Minister, speaking.